Why Microsoft Teams? This is one of the top 3 platforms being used in the state. We had started with Microsoft Teams, implementing this at our schools about 3 years ago. We were doing small pilots at particular schools, training staff along the way. This was the platform we had been building to. Last spring forced us right into using it right away. We were kind of doing a slower rolling start to it, but last March we were kind of propelled into making Microsoft Teams our platform. Additionally, Microsoft Teams allows for video, discussion, sharing the documents, and a virtual classroom space. At the bottom of the slide here, which is a little bit hard to see, is a link. When you get this posted to the website, you can go to Microsoft.com and check out, there are some interactive demos on their education site that are very helpful, that take you step by step through Teams. Both as a student, you can also see how it works for a teacher, and then how they just work it for a classroom. One of the other benefits next that using the Microsoft platform allows us is to have Office 365 for our students and for our staff. So this is an online platform for Office 365 where you can access products like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and Forms. These are tools that are universally used at many colleges, universities, and at work sites. And they're all accessible for the student from the student portal on our district website. Next. If you Google or you search for Microsoft Education Demo Tours, that will take you, that link that was on the previous slide, will take you to these demo tours. And you can see here, it talks about how you can use a team in your classrooms from a teacher point of view, how to support your students learning in Microsoft Teams. You can see that the audience is parents, guardians, and students. Engage your students in collaboration, creativity, also an audience of educators, school leaders. But again, it's useful for you to kind of click through these. It leads you through a lot of the buttons on Teams and tells you what they're used for and why a teacher may use them. Next. So here we're going to show you a video of a family getting onto the Galaxy 7 tablet.
Hi everyone, my name is Holly Boki, and today I'm going to show you how to use your Galaxy 7 tablet. This is how your preschooler, kindergartner, or first grader will go to school. The first thing you need to do is to make sure your tablet is fully charged. You'll notice the tablet has a handhold on the back and a sturdy case around it. Don't remove the case, it will keep your device safe. At the bottom of the tablet, open the small latch to reveal the charging port. You simply insert the charging device here and plug the other end into an outlet, or by removing the plug into a USB port. Make a habit of charging your tablet overnight so your student is ready to go in the morning. At the other end of the tablet, there's another latch. This opening is for the headphone jack, if you choose to use them. Now that your tablet is fully charged, it's time to turn it on. The on switch or power button is located here on the side. This is what you'll see. This is the home screen. To unlock your device, lightly swipe your finger across the screen. If your screen goes dark, simply tap the screen a few times to wake it up. The first time you use your tablet, you'll need to set up your internet connection. Swipe your finger down from the top of the screen like this. A row of icons pictured in small blue circles will show up. The Wi-Fi icon is on the top left and looks like this. Press the Wi-Fi icon. If your Wi-Fi is off, turn the switch on by swiping your finger left to right over the on-off button. The bar turns blue when the Wi-Fi is on. A drop-down menu will appear next. Click on your home Wi-Fi. If your Wi-Fi is protected, You'll need to type in your password here. Then click the Connect button in blue to connect to the internet. If you don't have internet at home, you'll need to call your school. The first time you connect your tablet to Wi-Fi, you'll need to wait about 10 minutes to give the tablet time to load all of the learning apps your student will need. The next step is the part that will take your student to class. You'll need to sign in to Teams. To find the Teams app, swipe up from the bottom of the tablet. Teams is the app we use to connect students and teachers for school. Press the purple Teams icon to open the app. It will take you through the setup. When you picked up your tablet, you received your student's email and password. You will need to type that in here to get started on Teams. If you lost your piece of paper or need help logging in, call the help desk. That phone number is 253-583-5110. The next step is to click on the purple Join button when it's time for school. And that's how you enter your virtual classroom. Thanks for joining us for this quick demonstration on how to use your Galaxy 7 tablet. And stay tuned as we have more how-to videos coming your way as we all learn this new technology together.
So Holly, I was thinking this is a good spot to stop and answer some questions.
Great. We have a few. We've got lots of questions. A couple times the question has been raised. It looks like they need a code to join Microsoft Teams. So do they get a code, or how would they get a code to join?
So we are finalizing the rosters for Teams, and that should be uploaded by the end of the day tomorrow or the early evening tomorrow. So you don't need a join code. Once your student is rostered to a class and that's uploaded to Teams, that team will show up for your student once they log into Teams. So we're about 24 hours away from a bunch of the teams showing up on all students' class devices.
Another hot topic seems to be attendance, and how are we going to be tracking attendance, as well as are students required to be online as if they were in the classroom face-to-face, like a regular schedule?
So for the month of September, we're looking at student participation. So a student can participate in two ways online. One, they could attend this synchronous or the live instruction during the school day, or they could also attend during the asynchronous or the time that's not live with your teacher. So we know that there are many things that get into people's ways, students' ways of able to log in at 8:30 a.m. perhaps, and but later in the day, maybe at 5:30 p.m. they can log in. So we are going to look at our team's login reports and check to see when does a kid log in. So if a kid logs in during the live time, which is typically in the morning for the secondary students, and the elementary students, that's either AM or PM, we'll know when the teacher sees who's in his or her classroom. They'll take attendance and we'll know who's there, but we'll also look to see if you join the class later in the day, later in the afternoon, and done some of the work that the teacher has assigned. Right now, the state's not asking us to report attendance in the way that we have typically done, but they are looking at how many students we are engaging during the course of any given day. Starting October 5th, then normal attendance procedures start to take place. The first couple of days, if we don't see a student logging into either the live portion of the class or the posted portion of a class, then you'll receive a call just saying, hey, we didn't see you, call us and let us know if there's anything we can do to help you get into the classroom.
All right, and I think I'm going to ask one more question because I think this also goes along with that, and then I'll let you continue with your presentation. But that one from parents who say both parents are working, two different ones, both parents are working, is there going to be a problem if the students sign in late or later? I think you answered that question, whether They have to be live, or it can be the recorded lesson. And then the other piece is some of our parents have said they need from their daycare or childcare a hotspot in order to support student learning during the day at the daycare.
Yeah, we have been working with a couple daycares so far that have contacted us asking for a hotspot. We've been working on getting that to them. That's true with the CDCs that are out on JBLM as well, so we've been working with them. We should have those out to those places that have contacted us already. If they haven't contacted us, or you know some daycare that should contact us, have them call my office at 253-583-5108. I changed my phone number, so I have to remember what my phone number is. Sorry.
Well, that would be a good way to get out of some of those calls.
Yeah, you get out of the call if I actually didn't answer. 253-583-5050, 5050.
Okay, I'll write that too in the question and answer. All right.
We've had a number call us already, so.
Okay, well, I'll let you continue on, and I'm writing down as people are putting down their questions. Some I'm answering if I can quickly, but just keep them coming and we'll keep on answering them.
I did see one here about personal devices. If you were able to join Teams off your personal device, you can still do that. The only downside in the future is when we return back to the school sites. So if let's say you're going to Beechwood and you you're coming back to Beechwood, you won't be able to use your personal device on our network at the school. So you will have to then use one of our laptops or tablets once you return to the school. So just be aware of that, but otherwise it works to use the personal device at home. And then when you come to school, you'll have to be using our device.
Okay, we have a few questions again about that and about when to call the help desk if their laptop is not working or they're having problems with their device. And I just put that phone number, and we'll show it again on the screen in just a little bit.
Right, so if you're having a little problem, you don't know what your password is, a good place to start is with the school. Right, so getting your password from the school will be probably a faster return to get the information from there. If you're having problems with your device, for sure call the help desk, and we'll be solving those calls as they come in.
All right.
So when we go to the next slide, students in grades 2 through 12 will be using our HP streams. If you haven't picked one up yet, this is sort of what your device will look like. It runs like a traditional laptop. Everything is loaded on those. Once you log in with your password information, you'll be operating it just like any laptop computer. Next. We want to talk a little bit about our learning apps. We've added a few learning apps as well to make the experience different this fall. But to get to learning apps, students go to the district website and then they click on the tab Students. And when you click on that, then Student Links becomes available, and then you click on District Learning Apps. Classroom teachers will be directing students to the appropriate learning resource for their grade level and content. Many of our textbooks come with web-based applications such as Go Math, the middle school math materials, and Reach for Reading, our K-5 English Language Arts textbook and materials. New this year, some new applications that you may hear and see are Freckle. Freckle is being used with students K-5, and this helps students with reading and mathematics. Another one is Zern. Zern is an application for Engage New York, our math materials, K-5. In the past, those have come to you in large paper packets. We won't be doing that this fall, but we'll have our students work through Zern to do their work in Engage New York and Math K-5. Additionally, we've done district assessments. If you're new to the district, you may not know about STAR assessment or MAP, measures of academic progress. We use these assessments 3 times a year to monitor student progress and learning. We will be doing these remotely. And there's some information that will be found on the parent website, on the parent portal of the website, where you can learn about what the assessments do. And then later this month, there will be a video about how to access these when they become available. But measures of academic progress is used for grades 2 through 12, and STAR tests are used for grades K and 1. Next. When you go to the district learning apps, you'll also see a number of other learning apps available. Many of our textbooks that we use district-wide have online portals. This is a way you can access those. Teachers will direct students to those online portals. Also, this is a place where students can find the team's login. It's also a place where there's a login called Clever. This is where students are automatically rostered to some of these applications below, like Nat Geo, Dreambox, Digital Passport, Code.org, Khan Academy, and also a way to get into the MAP and STAR test. Next. Just wanted to put a pitch in here for Family Access Skyward. Skyward is our student management system. This is where you can view assignments and teacher grade books, grades, attendance, messages from the school or your teachers, and pay for student meals and more. If you had a student in the district last year, your same access continues to work for any new students you have. If you're new to the district and don't have access, please contact your school. The school can give you your access information. This is sort of a one-stop shop for finding out all this information on how your student is doing in school. It also has a app that you can load to your phone, which provides easier access as well. There's one other thing you can do in Family Access if you want to get weekly reports or kind of reports on an every other day basis. You can set those up to be automatically sent to you in your email. So it's a good place to keep up with what's going on. If you don't have access, you don't have the login, please make sure to contact your school. Your school can provide that to you very easily. Next. When you go to the district website again, you can go to the Parent tab. The Parent tab shows you where you can find the direct access to Family Access. There's also a link to find more about it. Also in that right-hand column, you can see quite a bit about different parent links that we've put there. These are ordered by how popular they are, so the more people use them, the more they move up the page. So you notice Engage New York Math Help is at the top of our parent links. You can find some videos and helpful hints there on helping your student with math, but also there is school locator, bus routes, behavior guidelines, dress code, some additional information that you can find there. Also on this tab is where you can report bullying and harassment, intimidation. So there's a form there that you can do anonymously from there as well, if you so like.
Brian,
So
can I jump in with a quick question about Skyward?
Yeah.
We got, someone had asked about their student, if their student, how the students can log into Skyward. Do they go to the Family Access, or is there a login specifically for students?
There's a separate login for students. If your student was in schools in secondary last year, they would already have their login information, but it is a separate login from the Family Access login. The student can do the same Skyward app and what their login information go in and go directly to their classes and find out the same information you're finding out through Family Access. But keep them separate codes. It's important to do that. Holly and I both have she's done with children in the district as of last year. I still have a daughter in school, so my wife has the family access and my daughter has the Skyward access, and it's the way we can all keep tabs on each other. So it's important to keep them separate.
Another question that also came up that I'm going to have you answer is some questions about safety with kids and keeping the cameras on during class, and how not only is that a safety issue, but also a bandwidth issue, especially if you have multiple children at home, everyone's trying to get on, and
Right.
Parents as well.
So we've been asking our teachers not to mandate the videos being on during Teams classroom. It may be a little bit different when you're doing a one-on-one or the teachers with a small group with 3 or 4 kids, right? That you really need to see the kid, the student reading aloud, right? So you need to see them doing that. But in general, when it's large class settings, we have been saying, no, you don't need to have your student video on.
All right. Well, that answers some of those questions. I'll let you finish, and then we're going to have some Q&A time, and I'll make sure that they're coming fast and furious, Brian. So I might have to review, make sure I haven't skipped over anything.
Stand up and down. All right.
Exactly.
So next slide is just sort of what our return to learning graphic looks like on our website. So when the video and this presentation are done and ready to be placed on the website, you can go to this link on the district website and you'll find that there. It's important that you go there fairly regularly, as information certainly does change rapidly, and just make sure you're checking that out. There's a lot of helpful information there. There's all the school schedules, things about food and nutrition. So just check that out when you have an opportunity at the district website. I think we've said on the next slide a couple times about the help desk. Really, kind of try to isolate the problems. So if you're really struggling with the tablet or the laptop, please call the help desk at 253-583-5110. You're going to probably have to leave contact information, a callback number, or an email address for us to get back to you. There's a number of calls. Try to answer those calls in order that we get them. If you're having troubles or you haven't seen your Teams classroom pop up, let's say on September 1st or on September 2nd, please make sure to call your school. They can isolate that problem for you better. If you have troubles with your password, what was your email address, you lost that important piece of paper, misplaced it, it got into a pile on the kitchen table, please contact your school. They have that information. You wouldn't need to call the help desk for that, and they can get back to you with that information. But again, if there's the laptop won't turn on, or you're just struggling on that end, please call the help desk.
We have had a few comments about children having audio problems, the screen's blurry. We've also had all I see is black. Those would all be issues maybe to call the help desk for, to see if there can be a correction.
Correct. Or we just exchange out your laptop or your tablet, right? You don't need to go days. What we can do is replace them.
And some, I don't think any of us planned for this to happen. So when we went to this virtual learning plan, we were ordering and pulling out streams and different devices from all the schools to hand it out. And so we do understand that some may be older. And so if that is the problem, you are just struggling with your device, please do call the help desk and let us see what we can do to help you.
I see a question here about turning in work. Since the students are doing all their work on their laptops or their tablets, they will be able to turn their work into the Teams classroom virtually. Last spring, because we were unable to get laptops out to families, to all our families who needed them, or essentially we are giving everybody a laptop for every child that's in the district. We did packets of work just to kind of keep up with the learning at the time. We are not going back to the packet of work, right? The work will be digital, and students will do that work digitally. If they have troubles with just doing that on the screen or on that device, they certainly could do that on a piece of paper, take a picture. The picture then could be posted of that work, right? So you're going to be turning in things to this virtual classroom.
Another question came up about grading. How will that be done? And I'm going to let you handle that one.
We're going to go back to normal grading. So in elementary, that's the OSN. That is for grades K through 3, and grades 4 and 5, we go back to the letter grades, ABC. And in secondary, we're going to go back to the letter grades A through F. So that's why I was calling out the importance of family access and Skyward, because you want to stay on top of grades. Teachers are expected to be entering grades weekly. So if you don't see that, let your principal know. But that is how we're going to do our normal grades. In secondary, we put out progress reports every 4 to 5 weeks. Quarter reports are done just before student-led conferencing in March or in November. And then elementary schools have report cards coming out 3 times a year. We do those on what are called trimesters. So the first one of those is the first part of December. So you'll be getting the same kind of report cards you did last year if you were in the district, and we'll be grading as we have typically done. We're asking teachers to look at different ways of assessing students. So moving away from the typical quiz or test, but looking at project-based learning, collaborative projects, those sorts of things as different ways to evaluate student learning.
Okay, I have one here. Let's see. Oh, how are IEPs being handled?
So all of our students currently for special ed will start remotely. You may have gotten a call from your case manager in the last couple of days, but you'll be getting your case managers. If that hasn't happened, we'll be making contact with you here shortly. We'll be having IEP meetings happen during the first 3 weeks of September, and we'll be looking at the best way to serve that student, whether that's remotely or in person.
Another question came up about this particular family can get Teams on the website, but they can't get into Teams via the app. Another family has one of our 2 computers does not have the Teams app loaded, and we can't get into it. What can we do?
So if it's not loading, that's a good, or it's not present, that's a good help desk question, because we can push out that Teams link to your laptop. So one of the things we have on them is remote desktop management, so we can send that out without having you bring your computer into the district.
Again, so both of those, if they don't have the Teams app or can't seem to get into the Teams app, that would be a help desk question.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, there was another one. I think we've already answered about the question about do we need to be on show our face all the time, and that's going to be up to the teacher, but it won't be all the time because of bandwidth issues and things.
Right.
Another one about, is there still a high cap program?
Yes, so students have been, so there are some students who are in what are called our self-contained program. So in elementary, so there are programs at Rainier Elementary, which is on JBLM, and then at Oak Brook Elementary, which is over on the east or on the west side of the district. So there are those programs, and then in addition, we've been putting students in elementary based off of their high cap qualifications into the same classroom, so the teacher can enhance instruction for that group of students. So they're kind of grouped with like ability in the larger general classroom. Our middle school program is really about getting into advanced math or the honors English. Students got there by their MAP scores and testing that occurred last spring. So that would have been a compacted math class for 6th graders. 7th graders get into algebra, and then 8th graders are in geometry. When you get to high school, students have access to advanced placement courses early on in 9th grade. There are a couple of courses that students can begin advanced placement or AP courses in 9th grade. And then over at Harrison Prep, students take part in the IB program or the International Baccalaureate program.
Okay, I'm trying to keep up. There was one about my daughter can't log into her email and I have no clue as what to do for her. The email for students is going to be their username, which is their number. Is that correct?
Yes.
At edweb.cloverpark.k12.us. So the username again is a number. I'm going to answer that just now. So that should just go up on there. So again, it's not their first or last name, it's their student number at edweb. And I think that's the little hiccup for some folks. Will lunches be delivered at bus stops again?
If you go to the Return to Learning page on our district webpage, you'll find the nutrition bus stops and locations for where nutrition will be provided. We got some news today that might add some additional locations to that, but you can find where all the places. If your student is a middle schooler and you live close to an elementary school, you can get your food at that elementary school. If your elementary student lives close to a middle school, you can go to the middle school and get that lunch. So we're not saying you have to go to your specific school, you just go to the closest school that you live next to and you can get lunch from that site. But there are some additional mobile locations. You can see Leanna and Ben scrolling on the screen, but there are some locations that are not close to schools where we are delivering food, lunch about middle of the day for most of the school times.
But parents cannot pick that up for the student. We actually need the student to pick it up. Is that correct?
Well, that is some news we are working through just now. So we should have some more. This is why we would pay attention to this website, because we're going to probably have some new information coming out in the next day or so about that, how the food's picked up. There was a new news release out of U.S. Department of Agriculture that's changing how we can deliver food.
Another one about school start times. There's a little bit of a confusion, and one parent said she got a different schedule that didn't seem to match up. So I've told them what I've been typing, hopefully I'm telling you the right thing, is that school start times start the same time as if you were meeting face to face. That hasn't changed. That
hasn't changed. We've stuck to the same start times for high school, middle school, Harrison Prep. We have elementary schools that are either a late start or an early start. So depending on which school you have, high schools are starting at around 7. We gave a little bit of a break. We are starting at 7:30 at the high schools. Middle school started at 8:45. Harrison Prep at 8:45. You'll see the list of early start elementary schools that start at 7:45, and then the late start elementary schools would start at 8:30. They should all be following their normal start and dismissal times.
Question, will there be music class this year?
Yes, we plan to offer, well, for sure in secondary, music classes. We have, in terms of our elementary, the specialists vary between being an art specialist or a music specialist. At the elementary kind of depends on their programming. But we will definitely have band, choir, and music classes grade 6 and up.
Okay, internet problems. Somebody asks about audio problem on the laptop, especially no Bluetooth. You want to answer that about they don't need a Bluetooth. They shouldn't need a Bluetooth to access audio.
Right, you would use your Bluetooth would only allow you to have a, let's say a wireless mic or a wireless headset, but you could also, if you're having troubles with sound, you saw in the video where there was a plug-in for a headset, right? So you could have a headset there if you can't hear the laptop very well. If the speakers aren't working, that's another reason to call the help desk and see if we can replace out that laptop for you.
Another question about the apps and codes. We've had quite a number of questions about codes. So this one says, for the apps for the kids, are there codes they need to sign in? And do all kids have ability to use those apps? How can we get the code for this?
So once you're back in class, your teachers will be able to get you access to the various apps. You will not need a code to join Teams, though. Teams will automatically be rostered to your class that you have at your elementary school or your courses that you have at middle school or high school. So you will be able, when you call up Teams, you'll see your class or you'll see your classes, right? So you won't need a code for that. But for some of the apps, you'll get that information when you join class.
Okay, this one really kind of calls us out. So this one says, you said,
I said,
well, or we said, all we needed, okay, so they said they logged in and all that was loaded was Teams, but yet they had to download Zoom for this meeting. So is there a better list of apps and docs that we should have on the PC that was given to us? Or do we need to go back to the IT person to update the laptops?
So they have Teams?
They have Teams. That was all that was loaded. Again, most of their school will happen in Teams. This parent meeting, more parent meetings will happen in Zoom, but for our kids and the device you have for school, that will happen in Teams.
Right. Well, if you go back to the district website, you go down to the student tab, you'll see Microsoft Office 365 is the third one down. When you click on that, that gives a student full access to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. You can also click on Teams from there. That should help you. You can join there as well. If it was your personal device, like your personal home computer, you could click on that Install Office, and you could install Office 365 on your personal device for free from the district. You do need to know your user ID, right? So to get that, but you can do that.
So if a parent has say they're using their personal device at home and they have a really great computer, they want to use that, how do they get their students' username and password?
Again, you would be calling your school and getting your user ID and password from your school. They should have all that information.
Okay. All right, let's see what else. Oh, another question about high cap. How do parents find out about the test scores, or if what happens if their student tested high? Where do they find that out?
Letters were mailed out in June or the first part of July for that, but the contact in teaching and learning is Erin Vidal, V-I-D-A-L. Her phone number is 253-583-5143. That's 5143. All district numbers start with 583.
Oh, here's a great question. This is a parent who says, is there a way that the teachers are able to join the student's tablet or remote join, because they have somebody who will be watching their students at home while parents are working, and that caregiver or nanny does not read English?
Oh, okay. That's one of the new pieces that's happening with Microsoft Teams for remote parent access, and they haven't released that just yet, but we are looking at it. We have an early edition of that, and we're going to be examining that a little bit closer and see how hard that is to add the parent access. As
a parent, and again, this is a great one for parents about Skyward. As a parent, how can I verify that my child has turned in their homework?
Well, oftentimes, Holly and I both probably could attest to this. One of our children have had an assignment that's marked MI, which really means missing. And that's a good way for you to go, I saw you working on that assignment, and I'm curious why you didn't turn that in, right? So those are conversations we've had in our home, but you will be able to tell once the teacher's entered it, whether your child turned it in or not. But MI is usually the big clue for that.
Okay, we got that one. I'm just making sure. We've had a couple of this. The computer that they receive from the school won't recognize their home Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's another good one to call the help desk with. Again, the 253-583-5110. It's probably just a simple little fix that needs to happen, and they probably can do that remotely.
And if you can't seem to set yours up, they can walk you through that.
And they can walk you through it.
And unfortunately, someone says, well, that would be great if I weren't working, 7:30
right.
to 5. How do I get the help I need?
We do keep the help desk open. Right now, it's kind of on limited hours, but because we're out there distributing laptops and devices to students. But after the start of school, we should be, we do run extended hours. So it opens up pretty early and stays open a little bit later. So we don't stick to just school hours for the help desk.
Okay. And I'm hearing from quite a few that there's, seems like that the video is really blurry. It says the presentation is so blurry I can't really make it out. I wish I could fix it for them. Again, that might be a help desk because there might be something wrong. Obviously, if you can't access what we're showing you, then your student may not be able to access a lesson. So please do call the help desk with that. Let's see. I am still in the 8th grade and it says I need to join a code to join my 9th grade team. I don't believe we're skipping grades for kids.
No. So just hold on for the team's rostering to happen. That's still in process. Should happen tomorrow afternoon or early evening tomorrow.
And then there's a question about textbooks, or how do we find textbooks?
For most of the courses in middle and high school, where we were showing the learning apps, the textbooks are going to be online. There are some courses like our advanced placement courses or IB courses where you will have to check out a textbook from the school. Probably that will not occur till mid to late September once scheduling is settled down and everybody's where they're supposed to be. But vast majority of our textbooks that most of our students take are all online. And so you'll get access to those through your classes. So it's a little bit different. We won't necessarily have to check out all those books for you, but if you do need a textbook, we will be able to check those out to you as well.
So just wondering about, can a family add a printer to the student laptop in case they need to print out something? The parent says it looks like that it's locked.
Yeah, I'd have to ask. I think we'd have to check with IT about that one. I don't know that one off the.
Okay. We will check on that for you. Okay. For grade 1 and their class assignments, how will we get them? Via files assignments on Teams only or through weekly emails?
You should probably be seeing those in the files on the assignments tab on the Teams. I think your first grade classroom teacher is going to spend a lot of time just kind of connecting with your son or daughter at the beginning. And then we'll start posting some work and kind of stepping kids through. One of the reasons we chose the AM, PM model for elementary for live instruction was to bring the class sizes down. So in elementary, our class size is somewhere between 17 and 20 students. So that kind of keeps 9 to 10 students per live session. So gives the teacher a little bit more opportunity to have a one-to-one conversation with your son or daughter versus having 20 first graders. They're going to have a smaller group and should be able to get to know them better and then talk to them how they're going to run their classroom remotely.
Another question, how do I find my child's schedule?
The schools are supposed to be sending out the schedules. We did post on this Return to Learning website the schedules for middle school and high school, so you can find those there. But, every middle school is running the same schedule, and every high school is running the same schedule. Because Harrison Prep is a combination of a middle and a high school, their bell schedule is going to look like a high school, but their start times are like a middle school. So it's kind of a combination of the two. But all those are on that website. In general, you can see what the elementary are, but we're expecting our schools to be providing you their specific schedule and your son or daughter's specific schedule.
And then someone says, I believe it's a military family that says, what happens if we PCS during the year? How do we turn in our device?
So you would just return back to the school. They should be able to basically check it back into our library management system, Destiny, just like they checked it out to you.
Great. Let's see.
I see that. There are a number of elementary schools that are distributing technology tomorrow. So if you didn't get an email or a phone call about that, I check with that school. But pretty much every school, except for a handful, have distributed either the tablets or the laptops in the last couple of days or in the last couple of weeks. There's just a small set of schools that are doing it tomorrow. So make sure you check your email or your voicemail for that. And there's the schedule. So 4 Heroes, I like that when the website just pops up with that information, right? 4 Heroes, Lakeview, Carter Lake, Evergreen are doing it as well tomorrow. So they also did it, some did it Friday, but some did it today. So you can see all the schools have, there's a few schools that did it today, but Oak Brook is September 1st as well. So make sure you check your email. They would have sent some details about distribution schedules.
All right, there was another question. Let me just go back up. A question about resources. Any idea how soon resources will be starting for students with IEPs?
If you're in a resource classroom or you have a resource teacher, that's part of a secondary schedule. So immediately, if elementary, we have built in during the day when specialists can come and meet and work with students. So that should happen fairly soon at the beginning of the school year.
Another question, and then this maybe go two different ways. Are we going to return our laptops or tablets at the end of the school year?
So yes and no. I mean, if we ever come back to school 100%, you would just be basically in a one-to-one school district, be taking that device back and forth to home and school. We will be asking seniors, of course, to turn theirs back into us. We have a replacement cycle built into the distribution, so there will be a couple of grade levels where we ask you to turn them in at the end of the year, because we're going to give you a new device to go on to your next grade level. So one of those grade levels is 4th grade. At the end of 4th grade, when you're moving into 5th grade, we want to give you a laptop that will last you for the next 4 years. At the end of 8th grade will also be another natural transition where we will ask for those laptops to be turned back in. And for all of your high school years, you will have the same laptop. So we try to build in some replacement cycle years, right, so that we can handle the replacement and also give a newer device to you as you move up in grade levels.
Is
first graders will be turning in their laptops at the end of first grade, or their tablets at the end of first grade to get a laptop at the beginning of second grade.
Okay, sorry about that. I didn't need
Sorry.
to. I have 359, I think, open questions. I'm really trying to get to all of them. If your username and password, the ones that you have been using, aren't working, please call the school so they can, that might be just a simple reset. Let's see. Okay, so my daughter is starting 6th grade, but on the team it shows only the 5th grade team. So will that maybe update tomorrow, or is that a please call your school question?
That's a please call your school question.
Okay, call the, well, that's the old school or the new school. That would be calling your new school,
Yes.
your new middle school.
Yes, something's happened there.
Are we going to do school every day on weekdays?
There is school every day, Monday through Friday. Doesn't necessarily mean you're with the same, and secondary doesn't mean you're the same classes every day, but there is school every day.
And then again, I know that some folks joined us late. We are going to be, this is recorded. We will put it on the district website. But one of the ones that has come up again, and I just think that it would be better if you answered, are the lessons pre-recorded or rather recorded so parents can review the material or lesson with their children on weekends?
So there's going to be probably a mixture of that where lessons are pre-recorded and posted, but live instruction is live instruction. So we look at that as a way for the teacher and the students to actually engage with one another in question answering, getting down to what don't we understand about the task at hand. But it's not just a way to lecture at students, right? The idea is to engage students in open dialogue and deepen their learning. What could be posted is a teacher presenting a lesson, and that's what you're doing during what we call the asynchronous or the non-live instruction time. And they're going to ask the students to watch that video, come back with their questions during the live time. Some live will be recorded probably by some teachers to post just so for students who missed that question answering or engagement activity.
Okay, this is a good one. If my child had a positive balance for meals, will it show up when she goes to pick up a lunch this year?
Yes. So all that's changing. I mean, that was our plan as of 24 hours ago, so.
The next one, I think this is a clarification, but I just remember last spring it was sometimes confusing. Where will work be assigned and submitted? Will it be on Skyward or Microsoft Teams?
It'll be on Microsoft Teams.
Okay. Last spring, we were all kind of learning this, and sometimes it was difficult for kids to know exactly where, especially in the high school. It was the same thing. Okay. Oh, my son has a class on the PM schedule. He's a 2nd grader. Does he need to log in at 8:30 for attendance, or come back, or log in at the PM time for attendance?
Log in during the PM time. There will be work posted for his classroom during the AM time, but that's what we call the non-live instruction time. So there might be a video to watch, or there might be a assignment to complete, but those sorts of things are there during those non-live times. Or if they want to leave a email to their teacher, they can do that as well, right? So it's a time where you can do that sort of thing.
And then, do we have to call the help desk in order to download Office 365? It asks for an admin username and password.
We can post up onto this Ready to Learn page the directions for downloading Office 365. we have a handout for that, so we can get that up there, so you know how to do that.
Okay. I love this one. Does anybody know when we're going back to school face to face? That's the $64,000 question.
Yeah, Pierce County seems to be improving in the COVID-related cases. I think if we were to move back, we would start with our primary grades and start to see how we can move up into our upper grades. It's hard to do remote learning for our first time to school kindergartners, right? So we want to look at ways to bring the earlier years in first, and then see how can we expand as we move up. Our plan has always been to bring in our self-contained special ed students towards the end of September, if that's the best way for them to receive instruction.
Okay. Okay, this is a good one. I saw in my son's schedule that was college prep times. He is 6. What does this include and why in his grade?
That's an interesting one, yes. I think I would call the school.
Yeah, I think something went a little haywire. Okay. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to get everything. Can you please recommend books for leisure reading for a 4th grader? Also, will there be a book fair this year? That may be a great, all students have access and have a card for the public library, and that would be a great place to start. They have curbside delivery. You just drive up and they can give you any of the books that you want to check out. And it's a great resource also for our high school students who may need a little help with homework. They have those resources also at the library. Or you can talk to your school library.
Yeah, our school librarians are going to be coming up with a plan for that as well. So they'll be at the building so they can help work on that. So if you know your school librarian, just send them an email from your district email account as a student and say, hey, you please recommend some books for me to read at my grade level and my reading level.
Okay. There was something about a question about if I received free lunch last year, does it automatically happen again this year, or do they need to do something about that?
I think Leanna and Ben can show you on the district website where the information is about free and reduced lunch. So it's under meals there. So families who, it talks right there about how you go through the process of signing up for free or reduced lunch prices.
Okay.
It's from the parent tab that you go and it's back to that family access. So again, if you don't have that access, you'll need to get that from your school.
One family said that it says that 2 of their children seem to be missing on Skyward. I suggested calling the school because we need to make sure we have all your kids. But also if anything has changed, if your phone number has changed or emails changed, anything at all, please make sure that you call the school to update your new information for On Skyward. I'm answering another question. Hold on, let me grab another one.
I did see we will be doing Late Start Wednesdays. That is going to start on September 23rd, and that'll go through the end of May. And the schedule for Wednesdays at the secondary probably will change over time. Right now, it's advisory and then asynchronous or non-live instruction on Wednesdays. That doesn't mean your student doesn't have work to do, right? There's stuff that's going to be posted, or they can email their teacher during that time and get help. We still ask them to engage with us on those days, but we will be doing Late Start starting September 23rd.
Okay. We answered that one. Again, we're trying to get through as many as we can. There's just a lot. Another question about school. Let's see. Oh. My computer's freezing. Okay. Can the school provide packets to help? Is that going to happen?
So we're going to do probably a reduced, we are planning to post to the website, back to this return to learning section, general guides of where your students should be and what should be happening in the classroom in that particular grade level or content area. So that will be coming up pretty soon. We're just in the final processes of putting those together, and you'll see those begin to post. They'll say in Engage New York, this is what you should be doing, right? And remember I said ZERN was the application that you would go in K-5 to do that Engage New York math. So if you miss something from the teacher, it'd be another way to back up what's happening in the classroom.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Advisory is just a secondary class, so that's a class that begins in 6th grade.
This just says, message just came through that all meals will be free to students. So this is, I mean, everything is updating so quickly, so please do always check in. Also, can you talk about immunizations? There was some confusion over that.
So we received information from the Department of Health from Washington State and from State Public, the Office of Public Instruction here for Washington State. They said we could enroll students without completing their immunizations, but they, as long as they did not show up on campus. So there's a little bit of a reprieve, but remember, if we return to campus or your student's going to start going to campus to learn, and you have not completed the immunization, you will be excluded from attending school on campus. So in remote learning only, we can work on you completing all your immunization records. But the minute we turn back to going to instruction full-time or partially at school, you will have to be fully compliant and you'll be excluded. And that includes after-school sports, extracurricular activities, anything that would be happening on the campus, you wouldn't be able to participate in until you're fully compliant with the immunization laws. But we have a little bit of room here, especially with the way things have been, to enroll students without their immunizations being complete because we're fully remote. But the minute we do move to any on-campus instruction, you will need to be fully compliant.
This from a mom who says, I am working and I can't get to during the lunchtime and I won't be able to get my students to the lunch site. We also want to reiterate, you can go to any, it doesn't have to be your school, it could be any school that's close to you. It could be, the middle school may be closer than your elementary. Is that a please call the school to let them know maybe we can?
Right, I would call the school and see what can be done.
All right, a student didn't get the right charger for their laptop, doesn't seem to be fitting. Is that a school question or a help desk question?
It's a help desk question. And I saw earlier, because the help desk is manned by probably 6 to 8 people, we, based on the volume, are going to be able to answer your call live, perhaps. But if you call at any time and leave a detailed message of what the issue is and a callback number, they will get back to you. So let's say you get off this call here in a couple minutes, and you're having that charger thing, I'd call the help desk, leave the message, leave your callback number, and a ticket will be started and somebody will get back to you. Probably the best way is to leave the voicemail with all the information we need so that we can get back to you as soon as possible.
Okay, and even if that's your work number or cell number, so you can get the information during your day, yes. Please do that.
Please do
For art class, they want my daughter to draw something and then submit it. How do we do that? I think you answered that, but please do it again. I'm losing track.
Because anything can be uploaded. You can take a picture. You might scan it in. There are some tools, some apps that teachers might be showing that your student can use from the classroom that will allow them to submit something for the teacher.
And one thing that we have learned in our department is that cell phones now have the ability to scan a document.
Oh, right.
So that's kind of cool.
There's
So you
an
can
app
just
for
say,
that.
how do I scan? Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter was showing me that the other day.
Yes.
Look, Dad, I can scan a document with my phone. All right.
I know, if only we had them right here, right now. So I have 2 high schoolers and 1 middle schooler. Their class schedules are not posted on Skyward or Teams. When will this happen?
Well, schedules should probably get posted in Skyward here within the next, or certainly by the end of the day tomorrow. I know my daughter's schedule was posted and then was pulled down. They probably have been pulled down because they made a few changes and then are going to be putting them back up or making them live. I can send an email to the administrators and just let them know that parents are looking for schedules to be live in Skyward for their middle schooler and high schooler. So,
if our high school student needs to change a class, when can that be done?
That will be a good question for the high school counselor or middle school counselor. Just email them through the district email and they can let you know the process.
Will there be ELL?
Yes, there will be English language learner instruction. At the middle school and high school, that's can be a class or support in a classroom. At the elementary school, that typically is some support outside of the classroom, and those schedules will be coming out through the elementary schools.
What about band instruments for middle school band?
Yeah, I have a band student too. We'll probably not be checking out those till mid to late September after the schedules are finalized. That would be about the same time if anybody needed textbooks about the middle or high school. We'd be doing that at the same time, kind of one-stop shopping. You get a textbook if that's what you needed, or you get or you get the band instrument or orchestra instrument that you may need to take home.
Is there a warranty we as parents should buy in case the device gets broken or lost?
We're hoping that doesn't happen. But if that happens, certainly contact your school and we'll get you a new one.
Okay. Let me get down to this one. Oh, okay. Oh, that's very nice. You're welcome. If we can't log in on the first day, is that an automatic absence? What do we do?
We aren't calling them absences, and it is like we're taking attendance, but it isn't being reported to anyone but to ourselves to say, hey, we know you didn't engage with us, and you're going to probably get a phone call from your school that says, hey, what troubles did you have? Was there something that we need to do to make this easier for you? So you probably will get a follow-up phone call saying, hey, we're from the engagement team at your school. How can we help you engage in learning? So we're just putting that down as unable to access remote learning, right? We understand the first couple of days is going to be hard.
So again, I hope that answers the next question of someone has 4 students in their house, all expected at different times in different classes. First of all, we want to say, bless you, Mom. That's hard, or Dad.
Yeah, for sure.
If our internet has issues and someone gets dropped, is that automatically an absence?
No.
Okay. We're working on a lot of grace this year because this is hard for everyone and we've never done it before. Okay, we talked about students with an IEP and they should be contacted by their resource teacher.
Or their case manager will be in contact with them.
I think we answered that. We talked about the problem last spring was different teachers putting assignments in different places. Now all assignments.
All assignments will be in Teams.
Okay.
A teacher could email you an assignment from Skyward, and then ask you to put it, return it to Teams. That's another way, right? But all assignments will be in Teams.
Is the IB curriculum being provided virtually from the IB schools?
Yes.
How long are the classes going to be every day?
In secondary, each class period is roughly 55 minutes of live instruction, and then the remainder is made up in the asynchronous or not live instruction. We're thinking at middle school that technically when you meet 3 periods, you'll have done 120 minutes of work either in live or non-live format for each of those 3 periods. We broke up the middle school class periods into 3 periods each day, so that gave middle schoolers not having to deal with 6 classes each day, but 3 classes every other day, much like the high schools have 4 classes every other day, so periods 1 through 4 and then periods 5 through 8. Those are also 55 minutes. Middle school or elementary is a little bit longer, but there's a variety of things that happen in elementary, whether you're moving from reading or you're moving to math or you're moving to science. They're kind of floating through those subject areas and with their teacher, right? So there'll be breaks given, moments of time where you can rest and get ready for the next content area.
This question is about security. How secure is this system?
So Teams and our email are closed systems, it's all held within. We also we keep a digital record of all Teams classrooms and all of the email exchanges when teachers and students are in our district email system. That's all backed up to the cloud, Microsoft Cloud, and we can access any of that at any time.
Okay. Okay. If COVID cases are still around, but high school students are allowed to go back, is there a plan for students who may be immune compromised? Is there an option maybe to continue online schooling?
Right, yes, there's going to be an option for that. We'll just, we'll deal with those case by case.
My son's teacher called and told me my son is one of the few students in her class that had to move from afternoon to morning. However, I don't have the morning schedule. It's a first grader at Lake Louise. Any idea when that morning schedule begins for that elementary school?
Lake Louise.
Oh, here, look at Handy Dandy Leanna or Ben, or one of them is.
So Lake Louise is a late start school. Notice how they went to the schedule. Now they're on the virtual schedule for the 8:30 a.m. group. So that pulled up the PDF where you can see the schedule for the day. There's a 20 minutes, so at 8:30, the whole notion there is the kids are connecting, everyone's getting into the class, and then at 9 o'clock, the teacher will begin their live instruction, which will include English, math, science, or social studies. And this is where you see the resources being used: Reach for Reading, which you got from a learning app, Engage New York, which is from Zern. TCI is our social studies curriculum. Lucy Calkins is about writing, and then they'll use some other digital resources from the learning apps section. They'll help the students get there. This is direct instruction, small group, whole group. All that's happening between 9 and 11. And then the AM kids would have, everyone can access lunch. We basically have lunch available for an hour and a half pretty much every day at the elementary. That's also for the PM kids to be able to get up to school, get lunch, or wherever they're going to get their lunch from. the nearest school or one of those off-site locations. And then the AM kids move to this non-live instruction, right? So this individualized learning time where they might be in Freckle, back to Zern for math, or some other digital tools that the teacher will point them to for the afternoons. It's basically the flip of that for the PM students. They start in all that individualized learning time, have lunch, and then they come to live instruction.
Okay, there, let's see.
And you see where they got this off of the return to learning page, right? So they went down to, just scroll down that page to those schedules, right? So they just went right down there, looking at what times your schools start. The middle school schedules are all here the first 4 days, what it looks like on late start Wednesdays, and then all the high schools and HP are here, right? So you can look at everybody's schedule.
Okay, there was a question about lunches. Last spring, of course, when we're going out with the buses and delivering the lunches and breakfast were all cold sack lunches. Is that going to be the similar get and go, or is there a possibility of any kind of a hot lunch this year?
Since we're serving lunch at all of our school sites, there's a bigger opportunity for hot lunches or a different variety of lunches at the school sites. We didn't use many of the school sites to make lunch. We centrally made the lunches, so they were delivered out of our auxiliary services center. Here, we're really making the lunches at the schools, so it should improve the variety and possibly hot lunches, or at least improve the variety of lunches since it's being made at school.
Let's see. And if you have, again, if some are very, very specific to a school, and so if you have a very, very specific to your student, yours, please call your school. They will be probably the best ones to answer that. Answered that.
And Brian and Holly, just to jump in, we have 9 minutes left before our Zoom event ends.
All right.
All right, that sounds good.
As there are 447 questions, realize that we're probably not going to get, we're not going to get to everybody's question, unfortunately.
But I mean, it's just a reminder, we will have all these questions and we will gather them together and put together an FAQ that we'll put back out on our return to learning page. Tomorrow night we'll also generate some questions, and so we'll cull through all those and put some answers together and post that up for you.
Another question about breakfast. In the spring at time, it was breakfast and lunch combined together. Is that going to happen again, or will there be a morning time slotted for families to pick up a breakfast?
It'll be the same thing where lunch and breakfast will be distributed at the same time.
Do students on JBLM also receive the free lunch meals?
Under this new release from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, yes, everyone that just got an update about free meals for all students, that includes everyone district-wide.
Great timing they had. Somebody asked for the help desk number. That number is 253-583-5110. All right. If I can get my little cursor to go forward. If there's another, again, who do we contact for join codes or class codes for the educational apps on the kindergarten tablets?
Tomorrow, again, tomorrow afternoon, classes will be rostered and teams will be automatically loaded to your student. So probably right now you're not seeing class because it's not rostered. So that will all occur tomorrow by the end of the day tomorrow. Hopefully on Wednesday, September 2nd, you'll see your son or daughter's classroom.
Also, if you're a kindergarten parent, you should have received a phone call from your school for a WA Kids conference. Our kindergartners don't start on the first day as other students, because we spend those first 3 days doing conferencing with parents. And so if you have not received a phone call to set up a WA Kids conference and you are a kindergarten parent, please do call your school, and so we can set one of those up for you. All right. Questions about, like, I think it's very similar to the IEP. A student has a 504 plan and wants to know what will happen to that.
Yeah, we had a session with our counselors and nurses about the 504 plans on Friday, and they are going through and updating the 504s and should be getting in contact with families here in the next couple weeks. The nurses have been working on the medical 504s, and then the counselors work on the instructional 504s. So if you haven't heard anything in the next week or two, make sure to get a hold of the counselors about any academic ones, or the school nurses about any medical 504s.
Someone said everything seemed to work fine in June. All of a sudden, the username and passwords are no longer working for this family. Is that a call the school question or answer?
That might be called the help desk one. I think that'd be a good one to call them about. If that was all working and it doesn't work now, that's a good question for them.
We are new to Clover Park. Does each student get an email address associated with the district?
They do. Every student K-12 gets an email address. It's associated to your student ID number. And then
it's at edweb, EDWEB, .cloverpark.k12.wa.us. But if you want to know what that, if your student, it starts with that number, you need to call your school because they'll have that for you. Will tutoring be available online separately or from online learning? Both parents in this household work full time like so many others, and we have to rely on guidance from my second grader on how to complete certain assignments, especially the new math. Help.
During that non-live instruction time, that's a good time to call or email your teacher with your student's email address, ask those questions, or you from your personal email the teacher and ask questions, or ask them to give you a call. Those are things that can be done.
Does the student need to be present during technology pickup?
No, we just need to know that you are the guardian listed in Skyward for that student.
We are trying to get you to log in and make sure everything is working too. So if your student is unsure, maybe that would be a good idea, but I understand with work schedules that may not work. Right. Again, do we know when tablets will be ready for pickup for my younger kids? My middle school students already have theirs, but my younger students don't.
Right, that's back to that distribution schedule. But if you didn't get one, I would just go to the school that your child is going to and go there tomorrow.
Okay.
Because every school has all their devices and they should be able to give you your device. Oak Brook is at Hutloff tomorrow, and then Four Heroes is at Four Heroes tomorrow. Lakeview is at Lakeview. Carter Lake's at Carter Lake. And Evergreen is at Evergreen tomorrow. Otherwise, if you've not received it, I would go to the school that you're assigned.
2 quick questions. Will there be sports this year? And how is PE going to be handled?
So sports has been postponed till January. We're hopeful that we can begin with some non-contact sports in January. We're following guidance from the WIAA, the Washington Interscholastic Athletic Association, also our different leagues that our 2 high schools belong to, and then the leagues that our middle schools belong to. So we're looking forward to January. There'll be 4 sports seasons for high school and 4 sports seasons for middle school if we can get that all worked out starting in January. That's all about everyone wearing the mask and the virus going down, right? So we're hopeful for that, but right now it's postponed for the fall. Oh, what was the other question?
Oh, PE. How is PE handled?
PE will happen remotely. Like when you have walking fitness, it'll probably be the teacher says, go out and walk or walk around the perimeter of your house or do some sort of walking exercise in your home, and then report back to me about how that transpired. So at the high schools, there's a class called walking fitness. There's a class called yoga. A lot of kids are taking those courses, which are things that can be done as PE at home.
So another question about
We actually have 30 seconds left.
Oh, okay.
So we're out of time.
All right. Well, I'll let you say goodbye to everyone, Brian, but thanks all for joining us.
Yes, thank you for all these great questions. We'll get the FAQ up as soon as possible. Have a great first week of school, everyone.